Okay,
This is almost like the Crisis of Infinite Earths for pony fan fiction.
Can we just put
thing.
little, like,
But
beards
Crisis
on
on
them so we know
Infinite
which ones-
Earths actually accomplished something.
Unlike Magical Mystery Cure.
Which we're talking about right now.
Yeah, actually, and here's another thing that I wanted
We're
to...
actually talking about something? Holy shit.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy.
Completely forgot. Yeah, that's
Okay.
incredible.
Here's something else that I wanted
the
to...
podcast.
Here's something else that I wanted to extrapolate upon, further talking about the spell and how it makes no sense, is that, and really going into magic itself, like we were talking about, like, how, like, the incongruity and continuity
fucking up.
errors.
God.
So we're talking about the incongruity and continuity errors about, like, you know, how Twilight cast the spell supposedly unintentionally. In
We're
this
not
episode.
even sure if she cast the spell at all.
Exactly. She recites some sort of incantation, which which magic has never been shown to require an incantation in the first place. This isn't Harry Potter.
Christian, she probably had omniscience out on her field, so that way she didn't have to cast mana. She didn't have to tap mana to cast it.
So what? Did she accidentally?
Just do it.
So what? Did she accidentally cast Warp World?
So yeah, so she flashed in. So somehow she flashed in omniscience, and then cast warp world. That's exactly what happened.
She flashed in omniscience, cast Warp World, and like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cast Warp World. I really meant to cast Divination, but oh, whoops, I can't recast this spell.
I mean, flashing omniscience sounds like what I do when I'm on webcam every so often.
Oh, god damn it, man. Where is the brain bleach?
I can never erase.
Oh, fucking hell.
Actually, no. Those memories and the memories of the first day of BabsCon, those I can't never forgive you for that. Never.
Okay, but
I'm glad that this part of the conversation went way over my head.
I'll tell you afterwards.
It's
probably
quite
go
a
over
tale.
Okay, here's the thing though, is that like, not only does the spell not make any sense, but magic really never makes a whole lot of sense in the first place, because, like, the most we've gotten as to how magic works in this universe is literally that one line that Twilight says in Feeling Pinky Keen about you deciding to do something, concentrating on that specific thing, and then it happens. But it's never
Use
really
the Force, Twilight.
Yeah, it's never really explained what the limitations of that power are, where that power comes from, or how it is utilized or, you know, changed.
Well, actually, where it comes from is explained. Each unicorn... Twilight did say that it's a power that comes from within, so each unicorn has this, like, reserve of, like, quantum
Yeah, what is that power within? Have they
Good
played
question,
enough?
I have no idea.
Yeah, it's like...
I know what it is. It's small things in your blood called midichlorians.
Son of a bitch!
Oh, god damn it!
I was counting down until someone was going to make a midichlorian joke. Thank God it wasn't me.
Shout out to the Star Wars prequels!
Yay.
God, I actually
They don't deserve it. They don't deserve it.
I fucking watched Revenge of the Sith again today, and there's this clip of Anakin going, "I want more," and I just realized, oh my god, Anakin is a Disney princess now.
Jesus Christ.
Suddenly, this is a lot more
Is
entertaining.
he have a talking animal friend and a beautiful prince to go after?
Well, the talking animal friend was supposed to be
Jar
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 Binks.
Binks.
Oh, shit. Oh, my God.
Oh, god.
And the beautiful prince was his son.
I need to go put down my DS
Shout out-
and just have a very long contemplative moment on that back porch area by my oh my god.
It's starting to make sense now, and I was saying George
I'm
Lucas was getting
sad.
senile in his age and writing like a child.
No, he
It all
knew
makes
exactly
sense.
what he was doing.
Oh.
Do it.
Okay.
Kill him.
So here's on the subject of magic. This is another one of those things that I was talking about. How you can see the uncreative process through the plot holes. Magic is nothing but like phlebotinum and MacGuffin of the most transparent order. It's basically just, you know, something to make the plot happen. That's literally what it is.
It makes thing go.
Exactly. And I know a lot of people
Red
say
makes it go faster.
Daka.
Anyway.
Yeah, the plot will make it go, but it's not gonna go anywhere. I mean, it's like...
Well,
Exactly,
it's going to go
Matt.
faster, but that's precisely the problem.
It goes too fast and it goes too slow and it goes nowhere at the same time. It's a
It's like
conundrum of
Schrodinger's
all four
cat
dimensions.
plots.
Yeah, it's like it's attempting to have a plot and then like not really doing anything with it.
It's alive
not-
and dead
yeah.
at the same time.
Yeah, it's not like Mad Max where Mad Max just says fucking Fury Road where it's just like, no, we don't need a fucking plot.
It's
Well, you want a plot? Yeah. That's
Yeah,
good
Mad
idea.
Max's Fury Road's lack of a plot makes more sense than Magical Mystery Cure's plot. How do you wrap your head around that?
Well,
Because
Mad Max
Max
has...
was amazing.
Yeah, because Mad Max has explosions and freaking
And
double
not CGI
stacked-
explosions, real fucking
Yeah.
explosions.
Yeah, and double stacked Coupe de Villes for freaking Immortan Joe's car. I mean, come on.
And a fucking guitar guy on a portable amphitheater. You don't need a plot when you have those things.
Who is shredding on guitar while he is riding to his death when his guitar shoots flames. You don't need a plot anymore.
at this point, it's just spectacle.
Yeah, sort of like how Magical Mystery Cure is just superficial. You know, ergo, what I was talking to all about a lot of the songs and about how the episode has nothing to sell itself on but the songs. And speaking of having to sell it, the songs are, they try to make the songs everything. They are both exposition, character development, and emotional inflection all at the same time. Speaking of
And
emotional
much to
inflection,
my
have to find a way.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, and much to my irritation coming up later, it is also the resolution of the conflict.
Oh boy.
I gotta say,
We'll get to that later.
as much as this song could be cut out and you would still get the same effect, I actually kind of like, if it were out of context, I would actually kind of like it.
Well-
Standalone, I kind of like it. But
No, let me
again-
ruin it. Let me ruin it for you.
ahead.
Let me ruin it for you. It's a have to find a way is excuse me, is My Little Pony's take on a Simple Plan song.
What?
okay, that's actually
Yeah. Okay.
What?
All you have. Okay. Okay. Go back
Well,
to
if you said
Magical
Nickelback,
Mystery
I would
Cure.
have just like dropped right here.
Oh my god. I'm going to not. You have given me a challenge. Shout out
I'm
back to
sorry.
Plan.
I'm sorry. The big...
And ruined.
We broke Joseph. We broke into his brain.
Wait, you're meaning to tell me that this musical number, which thousands of lizard-brained bronies teared up at, is their take on a 2000s emo song?
Okay, I will prove this to you. Yeah.
But to be fair, Tony's
Take
hero
no.
probably had it.
Let me have the stage right now. Give me the mic. Give me that fucking mic. Okay. You take Magical Mystery Cure, you mute it, and then you start playing that Simple Plan song. So instead of having to find a way, it's Twilight going, "How could this happen to me? I've made my mistakes."
Oh dear
Okay,
God,
now
it
don't
is.
do that, and I'm gonna
I
laugh
swear
way too
to
hard.
God, it fits.
How could this happen to me? I made my mistakes, got nowhere to run.
Oh,
So there you go. Song ruined.
Actually, I kind of want to play Papa Roach over that scene. I'm gonna go back and just experiment with that scene and different emo music from the 2000s.
oh God.
So yeah, if you don't see me in a week, that's what I'm doing.
What I've done against my...
Oh! Fuck you! Fuck you, Brian! Oh!
Brian, I love you.
Oh! Oh, fuck you!
That was my knife through the heart, just as you stabbed that knife through hers.
The knife has gone through my heart. No, the knife is through my heart, and you stabbed my heart by shoving the knife up through my ass. So you have
know what?
fisted me
You know what?
and
Christian,
performed a
shut
bypass
up.
on me at the same
No,
time.
shut up. You put a knife through my heart, so in my dying wish, I gave Brian a knife to avenge me. Of which
From
I have
hell's heart, I stab at thee.
yeah, of which I have like at bedside at all times, you know. 'cause you
It's
never
just-
know.
Because Joseph loves his knives.
Because you never know when a Simple Plan song is gonna sneak up on you.
You never know when it's gonna happen.
Okay, and that's serious. Okay,
I'm almost
I think
18.
I improved
I'm
it
so
just because
I'm
now
so
I'm
close to being 18. That knife will soon become a gun.
dude, you know what? That's a freaking Ponies the Anthology sketch waiting to happen. Is Twilight sitting in her bed and that song just starts
Can we
playing?
just make an entire Ponies the Anthology where it's just that scene with different songs over it for like an hour?
You know, that'd be a good time for me to play around with Camtasia.
Like, so
There's an
back
idea.
so backpedaling a little bit and back to the backpedaling a little bit from what emo songs could be put in place of the emo song, is that like that's supposed to, this is supposed to be the low point of the episode, where like Twilight's at the emotional nadir. She's like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? And that's literally what the song is about, is what the fuck am I supposed to do? But it's a bit early to start feeling.
No, you know what you do? You carry on the wayward
For a
son.
dark room and rain on
No,
the outside.
no, hey.
You know, I
Christian,
love
no.
how you bring that up right when I'm wearing my Supernatural shirt.
When I was a young man,
Young boy,
my father
father took me into the city.
Oh god, if you
See
guys
a marching band. Actually,
No,
you know what? I like
What
that
you really
song.
do from there is you carry on the wayward son, because there'll be peace when you are done.
Oh my god.
Don't you cry no more.
Yeah, fun fact, our Hunter Compact was it? Or Hunter Cell was called the Wayward Sons.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, here's the thing. Here's the thing about like what I was saying about how the songs literally tried to do fucking everything in this episode, because the episode has literally nothing else to stand on. In that, like, the emotional tone is that supposed to be, yeah, Twilight is sad, she fucked up.
You can tell by the desaturation.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, everything has. It's desaturation, and it suddenly started raining because Rarity is screwing up the weather outside, and
So great.
somehow Applejack
weather
Rarity.
outside is fretful.
You know, I wanted to do this video where I play like "Let It Snow"
This
to Al
episode blows.
Pacino
This
burying his
episode
face in
blows. This
coke.
episode blows.
Oh man.
So
As long as
yeah,
you don't,
so-
as long as you
so
don't
yeah.
put hand jive in any of the episodes, then I have to put back on a gold suit and I have to fucking show up on that scene.
reprise your role as Johnny Casino.
Johnny motherfucking Casino. Man, those are some good times.
Okay, here's the thing though, and it's like, so everything's sad. The entire world has desaturated. Rarity is screwing up. Rarity has made it rain outside, and Applejack.
She turned down the Photoshop filter.
Yeah.
Cats and dogs living together.
Mass hysteria. Well,
Applejack has screwed up Rarity's business enough so that she had to close it down in one day. So she managed to screw it up worse than Enron did. And
that's dated.
and
Shout out to
Which actually, I
Enron.
was
Shout out to
I
Enron.
forgot about
Get
this
a
point a
fucking
bit back,
life,
but
Christian.
it was during what my kindergarten was telling me, but I forgot about this point a bit back. What are these people doing that Ponyville is so dependent on just these 6 ponies, otherwise the entire thing falls apart?
I mean, Applejack, it kind of makes sense, but the
I think it makes
others.
sense, but I think
How does
ponies
Pinkie
can live
Pie
naked.
manage to kill? How does Pinkie Pie manage to kill every tree in the apple orchard over the course of a single day?
We're not even. You know, that's another point about this episode
One
that
answer.
really bothers me.
Ogolgari showed up.
What even time?
Abrupt decay, yeah.
Does
There you go.
Yeah. So, Golgari showed up and they cast Maelstrom Pulse on the apple tree
Gerard
orchard.
showed. Yeah,
And
Gerard
they,
shows
and
up
they,
and he's
they
like,
targeted
"You know
the
what?"
apple trees.
Yeah, Gerard shows up and he's like, you know what, screw this, and he taps for 3. He's like, all right, Maelstrom Pulse blows everything up.
Yeah. Another shout out to Magic the
That's
Gathering.
all everyone
Golgari
does.
and Gerard.
I know,
Golgari Lightsword.
I'm surprised you guys haven't been yelling nerd at us more often.
I mean,
That's what this clip of Homer Simpson is for.
Okay.
I mean,
Dream
I'm
runs my tabletop games. All of them. I am living in a glass house with a bucket of rocks here.
Nice.
I mean, I'm just predatorily waiting for me to throw in my own references.
Okay, I'm sure we're
Like
sure
a
we're
hyena
getting close.
circling around the carcass.
That's right.
Treebeard is waiting like a crocodile in the shallows.
I think we're
Wait,
maybe
you're
like
dragging nerd
another.
along by the
I think we're
face.
maybe another 2.5 hours away before you get any of those chances. So
Well, I can
Well,
do it.
let's-
I can always
for
do
the
it in
long
post.
haul.
Yeah, all right. So
I can always
So
do it in
this-
post.
So the song Have to Find a Way, it's supposed to set the emotional tone for everything, but it's a bit early to be feeling weepy about that, because, like, as soon as she figures out, it's like, oh, well, I've screwed up the
everything.
I screwed up the, I accidentally deleted System 32.
I accidentally, my friends.
Insert Angry Joe going, you done fucked it up.
You done fucked it up.
Anyway.
So,
No, that's
and then Spike is like, well, isn't there a counter? And then, like, Spike tries suggesting all of these things that,
It's
that
just the shutdown mode pretty damn quick. She's just like, oh look, a problem. I'm just going to immediately shut down, lock myself in my room, and sing a sad number about it.
Exactly. Like she doesn't even really like try to do anything before she just gives the hell up. And mind you, this is the same pony.
Maybe Rarity and Twilight switched cutie marks.
Jesus Christ.
Excellent burn! Red versus blue red.
Punch over has like fist bump over phone.
Yeah, fist bump over the internet.
Fist bump.
Internet fist bump. Please fist
I literally just fist bumped my microphone. So yeah.
Yeah. How many internets did I win for that comment?
5 internet points.
Okay.
5 internet.
5 internet.
I don't know.
Brony points.
That's debatable.
Okay, so here's the thing. Twilight just gives up, and mind you, this is the same pony who was actively still working with all her friends, even as they had been corrupted by Discord for like, you know, the good portion of both parts of Return is Harmony, and it wasn't until they just all left that she just gave up. Yeah, and
fuck this, I'm done.
It's ironic enough because it's ironic that the whole resolution of this plot is supposedly reminding them who their true selves are supposed to be.
Oh, I'm getting to that in a minute.
Yeah, Spike brings up, was like, well, why don't you just, like, use that memory spell like you did, you know, with Discord? And Twilight's like, oh, because it's their true selves that have been altered.
Oh,
you know?
I'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah, but, like,
earlier.
That totally didn't happen with Discord. That completely inverted all of their virtues. And ironically enough, using a memory spell like what she used in the Return of Harmony is what ends up resolving the conflict with the cutie marks.
It'd be really funny. You know, it'd be really probably just like Spike comes with that idea and turns around. She's like, "You slaps him in the face. You shut your whore mouth. Trying to is on my time."
Yeah. What if Spike had been the one where, like, Twilight was busy moping, Spike went out and reminded them all of their true power of friendship? Would Spike be a princess now?
There's an
I
image
just
for
love
you.
that image. He comes back in, like, everyone's back to normal, and she looks over and Bill's like, well, they're okay? It's like, yeah, got it fixed. I just got it fixed.
It's like in Celebrity
I'm
Death
royalty
Match.
now, motherfucker. Bye!
Why doesn't she... Or, I just realized this right now. Why doesn't Twilight write a letter to Celestia explaining the situation, be like, I done fucked up, what do I do to fix this?
I think
Good
that Celestia
question!
wouldn't
We don't get an
respond.
answer.
Celestia would not respond for one reason. She was the one that sent the spell in the first place.
Oh, fuck Celestia. Yeah,
Remember
you know what?
in the beginning,
Celestia...
beginning of the season, they held up the book, and then I believe Twilight explicitly says that Celestia sent her the spell to attempt to finish it.
I am going to piss off and offend a lot of people with what I'm about to say next, so if you don't like what I'm about to say, mute me, but Celestia is the same cunt who assigned Twilight the test in the Crystal Empire.
And I still like her anyway.
Yeah, let's put thousands of lives in danger.
You see, I like Celestia when she makes sense. This is not one of those times.
No, yeah,
But the problem is-
I'll admit, I like
here's the
Celestia when she makes sense too, but like this is one of the...
Here's the problem the whole series has, is they try to set Celestia up as this wise leader, but then time and time again she does these foolish mistakes. So, what is Celestia? Is she the wise leader, or should she not even be in charge in the first place? Because it's like
Answer?
what she does in the show doesn't match the canon that the writers have written for her. So
Well, this is another one of those things where like it doesn't match up. Celestia is literally just something to make things happen.
Both is good.
Yeah. Celestia is another one of those pieces of MacGuffin. Like Celestia is the pony that imposes tasks on Twilight that you know needlessly complicate her errand, just to stretch the episode or the movie out to feature length, like telling Twilight you have to get the crystal heart by you have to protect the Empire by yourself. Or
She's Mandrake, asking you to find his wife.
Or
Okay,
or you
on,
have
Christian,
to go
let
to
me-
this other
Christian,
world by
let me
yourself.
interrupt.
But
Christian. So in other words, she sends her to do impossible tasks that she's not sure if she's going to pass. She's basically the prophet sending the Arbiter on missions in Halo 2.
Well, the difference is in Halo 2, they're sending him knowing full well it'll probably get him killed.
they're trying to get him killed. In
Yeah,
fact.
exactly. That's the whole point of an Arbiter.
What
Yeah.
if that's what she's trying to do? She's like, Twilight's getting too powerful. We have to get rid of her. So...
No, but
Yeah.
then there's this bullshit. It's like, oh, I've been training. Oh, like and then there's the bullshit at the end. It's like, oh, everything was supposed to be, a test to prove that you were worthy.
it's a
it
test,
makes
yeah.
It's basically like Stalin with the Great Purge.
Oh,
She's just eliminating competition at this point.
Go forth and kill the Demon Master Chief or something.
Yeah.
Hey, an Evil Celestia plot arc that is not terrible.
Celestia's the prophet of truth?
No, trying to get rid of competition, so we're actually trying to kill off Twilight, but she keeps succeeding.
Yeah, Celestia's the prophet of truth.
I'm imagining
That's what I thought.
Celestia now just...
You are, all of you, vermin.
That's conversion bureau, Celestia.
No, that's totally, straight from prophet of truth.
God, that's next on my shit list of fanfics.
All of you.
Your next conversion bureau.
God. If there's if Nightmare Moon was the dark side to Lunar, I wonder what the dark side to Celestia would be.
Well, a lot of people have wondered that.
Spoiler alert, but we may find out. There was an image that was leaked from one of the trading cards that showed a nightmarish Celestia.
Oh, if that's supposed to be like that Mirror World, DC,
It's not
But
the IDW Mirror World one. It's a complete.
Oh,
different
good,
one.
thank God, because fucking hell.
Yeah,
No,
that was
basically-
You're not the only one who
Oh.
found that painful and wanted to punch Good Sabra in the face.
I was gonna say, so basically what happened is we went from Lorwyn and then we found Shadowmoor. That's basically what happened.
Yeah.
Almost, but not quite, because Laurel and Shadowmoor was interesting and intriguing. IDM is not.
That's very true.
IDM somehow manages to make bad concepts and make them even worse.
Oh, IDW.
I'm sorry, IDW.
Yeah.
IDW somehow managed to fuck up the scary door even more than Megan McCarthy did.
Scary door.
The scary
Prepare-
door.
Prepare to enter the scary,
scary door.
I gotta say this right now. Over a year since we released the Crystal Empire review, and I'm now regretting that I did not make a Room 101 joke. I am like, God fucking damn it.
Hey, if you thought the Crystal Empire complaints were bad, this one is probably going to be worse.
Oh, complaining about the Crystal Empire. Man, shout out to Voice of Reason.
No.
Trying to
Well, we're
justify it.
coming up on an hour and a half right now. So,
Okay,
where
so-
the fuck were we?
We were
The
talking
home
about
stretch.
we were talking about how Twilight literally just gives up.
Oh,
As soon as Twilight folds. It's like a Census Fail song. Twilight folds her cards immediately.
yeah, and then
Twilight just gives up as soon as she realizes there's a problem without even trying. Twilight doesn't even try to do anything. She doesn't even try reading the spell in reverse. She does literally nothing, and then she just gives up.
And before your emotions have enough time to process it, she suddenly has the answer. My friends!
No, this is.
If only you could see me flailing
Please
like an idiot
insert
right
the
now.
the sarcastic guild
Treebeard,
of
you said
friend
that so
shit right
perfectly.
here.
I know this is what Treebeard you wanted to talk about for a while. Is this is this song right here, and then the scene immediately following it is probably again one of the biggest examples of shit that is wrong with the pacing. Because
yes.
yeah, is it okay? You have this conflict that's introduced, and she goes instantly to the emotional nadir. It's I give up without even trying.
And then instantly goes to...
And then after the song is done, is I'm going to fix this now. Then what the fuck was the point of that?
What even happened?
And this was what I was saying about how like the songs are trying to do everything because the episode is so slapdash and such a cobbled together ramshackle that like the music is basically duct tape. Is like I'd heard rumors that like apparently this was actually supposed to be 2 episodes long, but because Hasbro only paid for 65 episodes. They literally only paid for enough episodes to get this into syndication, even though they were making bank off of it. So they basically had to take a hatchet to the story, and they basically just that's why people say this feels like this should have been 2 episodes long because it probably originally was. Yeah.
Well, we start getting over to the resolution of the conflict, and then we get a true friend.
Which, by the way, that lasts 3 minutes
I'm
and 20 seconds.
I'm sorry, I
You
couldn't hear
sounded
you
like
over the sound of.
Emperor from Star Wars when you said that. Just
Ask him about his Lich King impersonation. We probably have it on tape from our last
Actually, I'm sorry,
podcast.
I couldn't hear you over the sound of Brian's eyes rolling.
No, it'd be glorious to just hear the Emperor go, "You've got a friend in me. You've got a friend in me.
Indulge him.
Nobody else like you. You've got a friend in me."
Okay. Anyway, true friend. So
Probably the most schmaltzy, gaudy, saccharine, sickening, diabetic number they have had in the entire fucking series.
The only thing that made it tolerable was the Subgratina remix. At least for me.
I consider fan remixes shit. So
to each his own. But it's not
Exactly.
even... See, the song didn't bother me. I sort of liked it when I heard it, and then
and then you actually listen to it.
And then, well, not even listen to it. Then I thought about it for about a minute, and I just realized, wait a minute, this is the resolution of the conflict.
That was me too. I was like, oh, this is actually kind of catchy. This is kind of cute. What? That's it?
Wait,
Like, problem solved in 3.5 minutes?
No.
You'll notice that this is a running theme in Magical Mystery Cures. It doesn't seem that bad until you start thinking about it.
No.
So, God. And what this brings up is they start showing them around and they start having the amnesiac remembering things trope that kind of pops up a lot. And this kind of... I've been kind of hinting at this throughout this discussion that there's a serious problem with how the cutie mark swapping works. They say that their true selves have changed, and like Christian mentioned earlier, that didn't stop the memory spell from working in the Discord episode.
Exactly.
And how does this even begin to work? Because the thing that happens is that when Twilight starts talking to Fluttershy before the musical number proper, actually, she says she knows that Rainbow Dash is a true friend. So that would mean the Sonic Rainboom happened. But how could that happen since Rarity is the one with the cutie mark and I'm Jehovah's Mexican jumping bean trousers? This is stupid. I mean, part of the
Maybe she
implication
gave
is
herself
that
the
it seems...
butterfly wings again. Did the Sonic Rainboom with the butterfly wings.
No idea.
Yeah.
None of this is ever... I have no clue. None of this is ever really explored or explained. I mean...
It's your catchphrase.
Okay. Part of the implication is that everybody seems to think that's how it's always been. But how is that even possible? Because... I gotta bring it up. The Sonic Rainboom is the one thing that brought them all together. So, what the fuck happened to that? Why are Rainbow Dash and Fluttershy friends if the Rainboom thing is how they got together? I mean, work it out. How are they even friends?
It was all a plot by Bane to separate them all. In the,
You think that your lack of logic gives you power over me?
Oh, I knew the Deckard Cain voice was going to come out eventually.
That was Bane.
Shout out to
but
Batman.
That was
And
Bane, but Bane,
There
Deckard
can be
Cain,
no-
and Sean Connery all basically sound the same.
There can be no true enemies without friends.
Stay a while.
So I
and
made
listen.
them all friends first to poison their
Shaken, not
souls.
stirred. Oh my god.
Another
I
first
am
month
not a
over.
Spaniard. I am an Egyptian.
My favorite line in all of it.
Ash.
My favorite thing Sean Connery has ever said.
But yeah, another thing that bothers... Yeah, the true selves have changed, so... it's just weird. It doesn't make any sense, because if
Hold
their
on,
true
I'm not-
selves has changed, why does the amnesia therapy work?
That is
Let me answer that for you. Magic. No, go back to your rant about magic.
go back. We'll go back to the rant about magic, and this was what I was saying earlier about the uncreative process through the plot holes. Is that magic literally exists only to make stuff happen, and people like I know there are some people who try to fall back on the excuses like it's magic. I don't need to explain shit. It's like, yeah, you do, because me as an audience member, if I don't know what's going on, I therefore cannot get a proper sense of the level of tension I cannot get a proper sense of the stakes, so I don't know how tense the conflict is, so therefore I can't be relieved when it is therefore resolved.
You
Well,
don't...
Magic always
you
has
are...
rules.
Yeah, in any setting that has magic and actually bothers to explain it, it has rules. Just because the rules are different from our just because the rules are different from our world doesn't mean they don't exist.
Right. The universes are built upon rules. If they weren't built upon rules, then they couldn't be, because there would be no establishment in order for them to build anything around. This is why Magical Mystery Cure is just so wrong if you really devote any thought to about it, because it's such nonsensical, cockamamie, lunatic bullshit that there's no way that, like, there's no way this could exist in any rational, logical universe. It's almost like...
It's almost like it lives in the warp.
Yeah,
Even
exactly.
the warp has rules.
God,
No, I'm pretty sure the warp makes up its own rules as it goes. There's
But
a
it
difference.
has them. It
In
has
other
them to
words-
begin with.
In
It's
other
The
It
only
words,
has
rules
them,
the warp
and you can
has are that the
explain them.
Chaos Gods reign supreme. That is the only rule.
no,
Well, there
in
you
other-
go. That's more rules than Magical Mystery Cure has.
No, in other words, in Magical Mystery Cure, the rules of magic are basically like Calvin Ball. You just make it up as you go.
Calvin Ball magic.
And even while you're making up as you go along, you contradict yourself later.
Exactly.
Ugh,
Calvin Ball.
and
exactly.
now-
This is the Calvin Ball of episodes, except Calvin Ball is at least fun to play and fun to watch.
That's very true.
But yeah, the musical number just
And
glosses
even
over.
when they break down into musical numbers, it's Calvin Ball. It's still meant to be nonsensical fun. Because Calvin and Hobbes would sing when they were playing Calvin Ball.
Anyway,
Yeah, it just glosses over the transformation of all these ponies back to their normal selves after the next to impossible event that took place a mere I don't even know how the fuck long before.
and then we
It
get
should
to this-
expand. Musical numbers expand on plot points. Most of the time, they should not be the plot point.
Actually,
My memory is fuzzy on this, mostly because I watched half the episode while it was muted. So
and also because Twilight inadvertently cast a spell that changed your true self, so you don't remember.
but
Nicely.
so after we go about from curing them, how did we go from putting them all back together to Twilight, quote unquote, finishing this Star Scroll the bearded spell? Like, when
Well-
did that become a priority?
Well,
Like,
Twilight
if
does
anything, like, if anything, if you look at a spell like that, the first thing Twilight should have done was just tear the page out of that book and throw it in the fire, because that
Casted
thing
it to
just-
the fire.
yeah, yeah.
Destroy it!
It should have ended that day, but evil was allowed to endure.
My God. That's just. There are no
Brian,
other
I
words.
love you.
Okay.
Okay, so
Alright, so-
back to
okay.
fixing the spell.
So
Because
so-
apparently that's a priority.
Let me explain this to Brian because I have another point that I wanted to make. Is that Twilight fixes the spell by quote unquote reminding them of their true selves. Basically, she casts them. Basically, she casts
Amnesia
this memory
therapy.
spell on them that reminds them all of their friendship, and then they realize,
Actually, I'm
this
gonna
is what I'm
stop you
actually.
right there. She did not
Oh.
actually cast a spell. She just had the ponies do what they would normally do if they had their cutie marks, and then amnesia therapy magic.
Oh
I
no,
think.
yeah, you're right.
She
It's
didn't
like,
even use any magic to do it.
No, yeah, she takes Fluttershy to her original cottage where Rainbow Dash is about to be eaten alive. And,
Because that makes so much sense.
Yeah, well,
With all the
they're-
animals going around her chanting, "Boon-da, boon-da, boon-da."
So, and then Fluttershy calms all the animals down, and this is what I suppose, this was what I was meant to do. This must be my destiny, which is another thing that I have to bitch about. This episode ruined the word destiny for me in the same way that Barack Obama ruined the words hope and change.
No, the thing that ruined Destiny for me was Bungie. That's what happened.
Shots fired. Two shots fired.
Magical Mystery Cure put it in the ground. Bungie and Activision dug it up and then gangbanged its corpse.
Oh God.
There's an image
Fuck
for you.
Fuck you, Bungie.
Oh.
So, okay.
People
So
who really
I've
shouldn't
got,
be
I've got,
in here right now.
I've got two things. I've got two things that I wanted to say now. Is that first of all, it also changes the concept of the cutie marks completely because first of all, it used to be just that the cutie mark was an indentation. It was a visual metaphor of their true selves, but now it's just basically
On your butt.
Yeah, on your butt.
It's a butt tube.
It's a tramp stamp.
There you go.
Yeah,
May as well be. It's about as meaningless in this episode.
Yeah, but it's meaningless, and somehow the entire fucking episode hinges around it.
Around its meaninglessness.
But that still doesn't answer my question. What after all her friends get fixed? Why does she have to then fix Star Swirl's spell? Why not just get rid of it?
Well, before you even start to think about it, she goes back to fixing the spell, because surely a spell that's rearranged the very essence of other ponies' beings, and apparently made them believe that's how it always was, certainly has no other repercussions. What, you think actions have consequences or something?
Snake already bit me 3 times. I bet it won't bite me if I poke him for a 4th time.
Accidents don't have consequences. Yeah, apparently they're taking that leaf out of Fable's book.
Dear God.
Oh, that reference. So yeah, first
No,
problem with...
no. Let me talk about the resolution because this actually does have to.
What's this I hear about people making fun of Fable?
This does have to do with
was
what this does have to do with what Brian was asking about the resolution because it leads into it and okay, first of all, now it's gone from their true selves to apparently being a cutie mark is apparently supposed to be their destiny, which was never once extrapolated upon until
In other words,
this
it's
episode.
basically-
It was
In other words, Christian, it's basically it's like our destiny, bro.
it's like our life goal or something. It's like after college, before career.
It's
My dad was
job
destiny.
was a destiny.
Shout out to Flash Gets animation.
The only cutie mark that supposedly the only cutie mark that had any inclination of destiny at the time was Twilight's because the 5 small stars around her cutie mark are supposed to be indicative of the friends that she hadn't met yet, but for none of her other friends there's no inclination of destiny involved whatsoever. And if Fluttershy's destiny is to look over animals, well then her destiny sucks.
Yeah.
Hey, I would like that for me to my destiny. I mean, right?
It's
Dog
this
that's
this
ignoring
this,
me.
this is another one of those things that fuels into the questions that bronies have raised. Is what if you get a cutie mark where it's a plunger?
Well,
They
we
kind of
actually
addressed that.
Yeah, we had a whole other podcast where we dissected why that wouldn't be possible and all that.
We did. Yeah.
But it still
Jumbo.
begs the question, which this episode doesn't even fucking
If you get
bother
a
to...
plunger for a cutie
No,
mark,
they actually waited until season 5. This is season 3. They wait till season 5 to start exploring what the fuck cutie marks actually are.
And guess what? It
actually
doesn't make any
explaining
sense.
explicitly that you cannot get a cutie mark in something that you don't like.
No,
so
but
if you
no,
get a
but
cutie
no,
mark
yeah,
with a-
then you
with a
get no.
plunger, it's because you get a Mario.
No,
Is
but
that-
then you got trouble shoes, and he gets his cutie mark for something that he didn't originally want to do. In fact, he wasn't even trying to do it. He gets his cutie mark for being a fuck up and being a rodeo clown when he's working with a lasso. It just shows up out of fucking nowhere. And
Yes.
the whole thing about cutie mark is that you get it when you're supposed
When you
discover.
know.
When you discover that part of yourself.
I
it's
love how
basic-
they established that in the episode before, and then immediately turn around on it in the next one.
Yeah, they make no fucking sense. I swear to fucking God. But okay, here's what I want to say about, again, the resolution making no sense and the concept of cutie marks and Destiny being bullshit. If all they had to do was like be reminded of what they were originally supposed to be doing, then so we have to assume that not a single pony mentioned to any of the remaining 5 is like no pony watching Fluttershy attempting to do stand-up comedy was like, Fluttershy, what are you doing here? Aren't you supposed to be like living out in a cottage near the Everfree and taking care of sick animals? And where the hell is Pinkie Pie? Pinkie Pie is usually the one who works here. And if that inherently, wouldn't that have reminded of them of their true selves and then switched
Which
to
is
cutie
why
mark?
I think that the spell also fucked around with time, because that's the only explanation I can come up with where they wouldn't be doing this, but even then I just
How did it
dissected why
fuck
that
with time?
doesn't...
How did it fuck with time? Twilight never cast a spell.
Good question!
We
Never
were just
explained.
we were just talking earlier is that like, okay, so Twilight wasn't casting a spell. She read some incantation and the elements of harmony reacted to it. We established that made no sense, but okay, let's just make it like Keanu Reeves and play devil's advocate here for a second. If the spell activated by reading an incantation that affected the elements of harmony, then how could it have affected time if no spell was ever cast?
Good question. If they had any explanation of the mechanics of how this spell even begins to work, we might be able to theorize. We can't.
Apparently the rules
Exactly.
of time can literally be rewritten at any point.
Except they've established before that Equestria has a fatalistic temporal mechanics in which attempts to change it only cement it.
Oh my
Yeah,
God,
Dr. Emmett Brown's brain.
Christian, you know what we need? We need to hope that we top deck into temporal mastery.
Ooh!
Reshuffle everything.
Yep.
Yeah. No, Dr. Emmett Brown's brain is currently exploding in Lovecraftian insanity at the way time works in Equestria.
Ooh, nice Spoonie reference. Anywho.
No, I was talking Emmett Brown, not Dr. Insano.
No,
He's
I
going
mean the
crazy-
Lovecraftian insanity thing.
Okay, no, yeah, you got
Yeah,
me.
that's
Thank you.
yeah.
I take it you've seen Spoonie's review on Final Fantasy 13, then
Oh
haven't you?
God, yes, I have.
I've seen that review so many
Just the
like
mere concept of Final Fantasy 13 gives me migraines.
Joseph
Christian,
has actually played.
Yeah, you didn't even have to play it. I played it.
Yeah, Joseph has actually played Final Fantasy 13.
Oh, so you've been through the hallway.
When I was 15, I unironically liked Final Fantasy 10 too. That
No,
should
I
let you
had
know
to-
how bad it was.
Basically, I had a friend. This is ages ago. So I had a friend back when I was like still in Vegas, and he had Final Fantasy 13. He was like, "Oh, play this. It's really good." And I started playing, and it was like 2.5 hours of just like me hearing foots hitting the ground, and I was like, "This is it."
So when do
2.5
do
hours
something?
of wandering down the hallway.
So at what point do I do something?
At what point
So I
is
was
it
like,
going to be explained to me?
Wait,
was basically like-
You're in a Square Enix game and you want to not watch cutscenes all the time? You actually want to play a game? Oh. Oh
You
no.
might. What about the lore?
Man, it would have been really funny just to see Moriarty pop up, and it's like, "Do you want to play this game?" Well, too bad.
Would you like to play this game? Yes. No.
That's
Yeah,
what I thought.
Yeah, it's kind of funny we mentioned Final Fantasy 13 because sometimes when we get writing this bad in this series, it almost reminds me of Final Fantasy 13 because I have no idea what in the hell is going on, and it's impossible for me to get clued in. and whatever conclusions I can draw either from what sparse information I am given or been able to come to myself is completely contradicted by something else entirely. It's just, God, this episode is fucking stupid. No, but like it was...
This episode has, like, the writing of Final Fantasy 13 and the god-awful plot like Fallout 3. I'm sorry, as much as I love Fallout.
I mean, yeah, Fallout 3 was, yeah, it was.
It's ironic. It's ironic that you bring up. It's ironic that you bring up Fallout. Shout out to Bethesda, because like the trailer.
Sorry, Bethesda, I love.
Yeah,
you.
I saw the Fallout 4 trailer.
No, yeah, I was just thinking about that today. It's like the trailer for Fallout 4 debuted today, and I was thinking, it's like, you know what? Fallout is a game that's about a post-apocalyptic wasteland that was reduced to ash by a nuclear Armageddon, and yet
it has
still not
millions of Mad Max references in
and
it.
yet it is still not as much of a disaster as Magical Mystery Cure.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh
Really
no.
wrap your head around that. At least I understand what the hell is going on in Fallout.
Well, we could get to the home stretch, at least the second to last song. I'm just gonna call it the last song because the other ones are reprises or like 30 seconds long.
No, actually, well... No, here's
Celestia one.
Well, actually, let me just, if I may just finish on my point. Like, the whole thing that I was saying is that, like, if the whole thing was reminding the ponies of their true selves, like, then couldn't any pony have just said, like, Fluttershy, you're not supposed to be working here. You live outside and you take care of sick animals. Pinkie Pie's supposed to be the one here. And then Fluttershy would be like, what? And then there'd be, like, this flashback. It was like, oh, yeah, and then the cutie mark switched. And then... if the whole thing was like Celestia was sending this book to Twilight so that way she could figure out how to write this magic so that Celestia could arbitrarily turn her into an alicorn, then wouldn't that screwed up her entire plan? So her entire plan hinges on something that could have been fixed by a passing comment.
Well, there's a perfectly good reason that it worked this way, and that reason is...
Dick?
What, you thought I was going to say something?
Yeah, Dick.
I was kind of hanging there like, huh?
No, I knew that.
I knew
There's a
exactly where
perfect,
that was going.
There's a perfectly good explanation for this. It's
Tommy
Wiseau. There's a perfectly good explanation
I
for
did
this.
not turn into an alicorn. I did not. Bullshit.
The explanation is the same thing that was in the mystery box in Wheel of Fish.
Nothing! Absolutely nothing! Stupid! You're so stupid! Nothing!
Nothing!
Absolutely nothing!
Stupid! You're so stupid!
And another clip that I need to find.
Yeah, just
No,
like
insert
edit,
the
like
image
edit
of,
to yelling that at like my M.A. Larson in there.
Shout out to Weird Al and UHF.
Exactly.
So we get to the end,
So
and
now
she
we
makes
finally
this...
get to the home stretch.
Thing number one about the way she fixes the spell. It's a cheater rhyme. Thing number two. Why would this have any impact on the mechanics of the spell? I once again ask why the incantation even matters, but I'm not going to get the answer, so... It looks like the spell's being cast without any real intent, so what was that about magic being about doing something that you specifically want to happen again? And here it comes. Admittedly, the last musical number kind of evoked a little tear from me, but the setup is all wrong. Thinking about it, this just comes straight the fuck out of nowhere. Was the spell supposed to make Star Swallow an alicorn or send him to the astral plane? Why is... You
By the
know,
way,
this
I feel like
episode... And the weird thing about the alicornification is that I kind of feel like it's the only thing that makes this episode not pointless, because beyond Twilight becoming an alicorn, jack shit is accomplished.
No, it's still pointless
Just like
because
Fallout.
Twilight
Fallout 3. The
No,
only thing you're trying to accomplish is finding your dad. Past that, there's
Liam
nothing.
Neeson, Dad?
Yeah,
No,
trying to find
it's
Liam
still-
Neeson, Dad.
it's still pointless because Twilight becomes an alicorn, and then the rest of the series has never done anything that indicated Twilight needed to be an alicorn for anything she has henceforth done.
I will
Like,
have to play
not even
devil's
the fucking-
advocate for that.
Not even the fucking fight with Tyrek demanded that she be an alicorn, because hell, Tyrek can't fly either. And even if that was the case, like, Celestia, Luna, and Princess Barbie all gave Twilight their power anyway.
Maybe this was
Princess
all
Kate
just a
is
test.
And then guess what? That power turns out not to be enough to defeat Tyrek, and then Tyrek reveals that, like, oh, I've captured all of your friends, and then Twilight trades him that power to get her friends back, and then they use magical friendship lasers to defeat Tyrek. None of which required Twilight to be an alicorn. Fuck, she's a princess and she can't even get a fucking cab.
You know what it kind of sounds like, Christian? Sounds like
Actually,
a test.
to be fair, that is pretty close to New York.
Hey, no, Christian, you know what it sounds like to me?
Oh, there goes my
Sounds-
phone.
One big
Sounds like
test. Sounds like one big test.
Get a cab in New York. That is your mission.
That is your...
This is
that-
more difficult than anything you've ever done.
It is.
Whatever, Twilight becomes enlightened, my god, it's full of stars, and the culmination of 3 seasons of character development is really underwhelming, actually.
No,
And
you're
also, I just wanna say that-
you're making like this episode. You're going too fast. There's still plenty of shit to bitch about.
Oh.
Yeah, the thing I want to bitch about with the whole, like, Celestia song, you
Let's
could
do
have
a
cut that song out entirely.
Let's do a lightning round of bitching right
Yeah,
now.
lightning round of bitching. That song, you could have just taken out, kept everything else, just cut out that song. Nothing would have changed. It would have been fine. I feel like this was shoved in, A, to have a musical number, and B, to have Celestia sing to shut the fans up.
Well,
Also, might I add that when you're on an astral plane, inserting Dr. Hooves is almost a crime.
God, I'm getting flashbacks of Rocky Horror Picture Show. Where's the doctor? Lost in time. Where's the Starship Enterprise? Lost in space.
This is...
Actually, this
I
begs the
bet you General
question.
Zod was floating around in the back and he's just like, God damn it.
No,
Why
General
won't
Zod-
anyone
so-
kneel before me?
Yeah.
Actually, no, this begs the question, what in the fuck is this astral plane? How did the elements of harmony transport Twilight there? And how did Celestia get there?
Magic, and magic. Any more questions?
The world
How does
works
the
in
ma-
mysterious ways.
I got a question.
But not
How does the
today.
magic... How does all that magic work?
Magic.
How is magic? What is magic? Why is magic? Who is magic?
The
Good
galaxy-
questions that will never be answered.
It's a plot point that allows the writers to get away with anything.
And that's exactly the problem, is that it's
I
just
really
a
wanna
plot
just,
point
like,
that is
Chris-
just...
I really want to see Chris Angel just like come in and just fucking just do some crazy shit and just yell mind freak and then just like, oh, magic, cool.
No, I want to see him walk in, look around really confused and
That
weirded
makes
out,
more
and just
sense.
walk out.
That makes more sense.
Mind freak.
Oh wait, is that my phone dying? Yeah, that's my phone dying. Alright.
You don't
Actually-
need your phone anyway.
You know what? It's kind of funny though, because I was thinking, and this is probably going to give Brian a nice little spot here, but like Celestia showing up and showing like Twilight all of these pictures of her life, I was
She's
seriously,
throwing up.
I know, I was seriously like, well, aside from being like an astral smaltzy ripoff of that one scene from Osmosis Jones where Thrax is wandering around Frank's memories, I
love that movie.
No, yeah, that's a good movie. I like that movie. But, like, considering how contrived and weird and, like, Celestia purporting, which, by the way, it is a... I mentioned Final Fantasy 13 earlier. Celestia saying that, like, every experience you've been through, I've been watching you to make sure, you know, you can, you know, to make sure you're ready for this moment. It makes about as much sense as Ryan's claiming that the ragtag group of l'Cie that you play as in Final Fantasy 13, where everything they went through was a deliberate machination.
Actually, you could replace this whole scene with I'll Be Watching You by Sting, and it would have the same effect and be funnier.
Hell, you could replace this scene with old Christmas Carol. She sees you when you're sleeping. She knows when you're awake.
Well, now it's terrifying.
Yeah.
There's
Well,
nothing
actually-
Celestia, like, just peeking in the window at night, like, eyes bugging out.
And then
Ceiling
robots-
Celestia is watching you masturbate.
Yeah, and
Oh,
then
God.
fucking-
You know what? I've seen that picture somewhere.
Then
It exists.
fucking robot Santa shows up and it's just like, I'm
if you
dreaming
say
of a
anything,
red
it goes the
Xmas.
If you say anything the Brody fandom could produce, it exists, just assume it does.
Right.
That's
Actually,
the
no,
rule of the internet.
I've
No, I
seen
don't-
some shit, man.
like I was saying about Celestia taking Twilight to this astral plane and claiming that everything was supposed to be leading up to this point. It makes it somehow manages the fucking impossible and makes even less sense than the scene in The Matrix Revolutions where Neo meets the Architect. And it's kind of funny that I bring that up because, ironically enough, for any of you who are confused, Brian can actually explain what happened during that scene because Brian knows what's going on.
Yeah.
Can't you, Brian? Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Well, it's more than I know. Go forth.
Yeah, okay,
So,
yeah.
so do you want me to
enlightenment.
Okay,
Wait.
so
There was stuff that was supposed to be going on during that scene. I thought it was just.
Well,
filler.
the reason why it doesn't make sense is because the Wachowski brothers beat you into submission with their use of the thesaurus.
But they're not the Wachowski brothers anymore. They're the Wachowski siblings.
He still has XY chromosomes.
Nope, they're the Wachowski siblings.
Yeah, well, Lana still has XY chromosomes. He just has his dick inverted.
God.
I've seen the South Park episode. I know what that surgery entails.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. I'm a woman.
Okay, so yeah, Brian was going. Yeah, Brian, explain.
So-
Brian, please
we have-
So I'm
explain what
ac- I'm
happens during the
actually-
architect scene. How the parallel
I'm
between.
I'm actually a
okay.
pretty big fan of The Matrix, but even being a fan of The Matrix, I can still admit that it
criticize
has
it.
flaws, and part of it is the storytelling and the really, really long, complicated conversations Neo has, especially in the second movie, especially the one with the architect. Basically what happens is basically the architect tells him, you know, you've been a rat in a maze the whole time. You know, all this is just... so the history that he implies is that this was not the first iteration of the Matrix. And we've actually gotten references to this before. Smith in the first movie says, that, you know, there was an original version of the Matrix designed to be a perfect human world. Earlier on in the second movie, the French guy that everyone hates says, I have
American
survived
Dream.
your predecessors and I will survive you.
At least we
when-
got to see him die in Sahara.
Yeah.
That was a good movie.
When you first hear that line, you think, okay, he's talking about, you know, people like Morpheus and people who've been fighting in Zion before that. No, he's actually talking about all the other ones that have been existing in the previous version of the Matrix. So, yeah, the
Well, there's
architect
also the
says-
whole thing about choice, and you know how the the whole
I'm
thing
getting
about
to that.
choice.
I'm
Okay.
getting to that.
Sorry.
So the architect tells Neo, look, this is the closest so my whole purpose was to build a perfect system, and I tried and tried and tried and I couldn't do it. So this was the closest I came, where I have basically a system, each iteration of the Matrix is designed to collapse, but a new iteration is designed to grow out of the collapse of the last one. However, what this is where the one comes into play, because the one represents
The
everything
systemic
that is
anomaly.
wrong. Yeah, the systemic anomaly. Neo represents everything that is wrong with the system, the free will, and it's all embodied in Neo's choice, because the architect can't force the new iteration of the Matrix. He has to let the one choose for some reason.
Well, because the one contains all of this code within him that is required for the Matrix in order to reboot. So if the one doesn't reconnect himself to the system where his code is disseminated and rebuilt into the new, and you know, rebuilt into, you know, the
new Matrix.
to basically restart the Matrix, then the entire Matrix crashes and everyone in the Matrix therefore dies.
Yeah. So
This is what happens when the Matrix 1's on Windows Vista.
Man, fuck Windows Vista, man.
Yeah.
So, where the
So the-
I'm
fuck
not sure
were
why
we?
we're talking about this.
Right, we were
So-
at the end. We were at the end of the episode.
well,
We're-
so the whole
Well,
so the
what I
whole
was
thi-
going to say about the end of this episode was really everything wrong. Like, I'm not even sure where we were going with that whole Matrix tangent.
Actually, no. I want to put it in there because the whole thing about the Matrix thing is that, like, well, for one, it doesn't make sense because like Magical Mystery Cure, it doesn't necessarily clue you into what is going. Well, it doesn't necessarily clue you into what is going on in a way that you can necessarily understand. And yet, even then, even if you look at it and you like Brian did, or you know how to explain it to you, or if you just like really look up your thesaurus and translate what the architect is saying into, you know, simple English, you do see that there is a sense that this entire thing was that actually was built around this entire concept. So the movie actually does have somewhat of a structure, even if it is poorly executed. Magical Mystery Cure doesn't even have that, because it has all of these things that it just pulls out of its ass and purports to be built around, like Celestia saying that, you know, oh, everything has been a deliberate fucking test. And
Really?
I've been watching it. Begs the question as to how she's been watching Twilight this entire time to make sure if she's ready. And then
Spike was a spy the whole time.
That dragon is a spy.
Damn it, someone beat me to it.
Okay. So, and then we get to the conclusion. I imagine this is what you've been wanting to bitch about for the longest time, hasn't it, Treebeard? Twilight becoming an alicorn.
I am one of the weirdos that didn't really have much of a problem with Twilight becoming an alicorn.
Oh, really?
I did not actually have much of a problem with it. It's just how inconsequential this episode is in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It just appears in an instant, and then it's gone. The only lasting impression is that somebody changed Twilight's Flash model. And
Well,
it just goes by in, boy, it's a nice morning, hey, I'm learning a new spell, oh no, I swapped the cutie marks, now I'm sad, but it's okay because I figured out that friendship is the answer, I'm an alicorn now, okay, thanks, bye! That's the episode.
That's
Actually,
how we should end this conversation. It's like, I just saw thoughts on this. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Actually, you know what? I think that's, if I want to add my own little thing, I might have discussed this with Brian before, but actually I think that's one of the biggest reasons he fucking hates this episode so much, is because, and this is actually a little bit of a spoiler alert for, the fan fiction that we've been writing, Deception. You know, basically it's basically our spiritual combination of MLP and Inception.
All right.
But the first chapter, the only chapter to date that has been mostly written by that was almost entirely written by Brian, was chapter 4, which is called Waiting for a Train on Mobile Avenue. And Internet Cupcake, if you can guess what that's supposed to be a reference to.
Proceed.
But, okay. So the concept of that chapter is Twilight ends up in limbo, but she doesn't know she's in limbo, so she doesn't know if she's either dreaming in an extremely deep dream that she can't escape from, or if she's actually died. So the thing is, Twilight ends up in this barren, empty world, and she basically just starts building her own world to try to distract her from the fact that, well, A, she is bored as all hell, but B, she is so lonely that the loneliness is almost like the apex predator of this plane, and her building things is just her way of distracting herself from it. You know,
Don't say apex predator. Garuk might kill you.
Okay. So she starts making, like, the first thing that she makes is like the sun, and she causes the sun to rise on this barren plane, and then she starts, you know, and on the first day, Twilight Sparkle created light and the heavens.
It was okay.
Yeah. and then she made the land and the seas, and then
they
she starts
were also okay.
Yeah, and then this is where it deviates from Genesis. She builds her own palace, but she rebuilds her treehouse in it, so it was like a reminder of home, but like that reminds her of the loneliness, so she focuses more on building her palace. But then when she's done with her palace and she starts getting bored again, so she starts building the city, and the more and more it goes on, she starts building these grander and grander things, but the loneliness keeps catching up to her.
Twilight in Purgatory Minecraft.
Exactly, yeah. Funny thing is, one of Brian's working titles for this chapter was Twilight Plays
Minecraft for 2 weeks. Yeah.
His other one was this chapter was fucking hard to write. And the reason it was so hard to write...
she was the only character in that whole chapter.
Is
So basically it was all like introspective and deep, and you know, what do you do when you have no interactions with anybody else? So
And where I was going with this is the whole thing is that, like, Twilight Twilight tries to come up with the concept of how to get around her city easier, and then when she realizes that she's in the same position that Celestia and Luna are in by raising the sun and the moon, she gets the idea to give herself wings.
Huh.
And so Twilight basically makes herself an alicorn in limbo.
Just for clarification's sake, our story was set at the end of season 2 before anybody thought she'd ever get wings. So
we started writing this all the way back in like April of 2012. This is an old fucking story. We're still working on it, by the way.
Oh.
We're working on the new chapters right now, as a matter of fact. But so the whole point is that everything is like the entire chapter all builds up to this point where Twilight eventually, makes herself an alicorn. And the funny thing is when even that doesn't alleviate her loneliness in any way. And that leads into like the emotional low point of the chapter. But then when she wakes up and she realizes that it was all a dream, her, what she did to herself, it like also becomes a crux of the conflict all throughout the rest of the story, where she's like having a hard time, like she's going through a bit of the same problem where Cobb went through in the movie, where she's having a hard time differentiating, reality from the dream. And the crux of all that is, Twilight making herself a princess, which the entire chapter that was devoted to built up to. And the reason why I bring this up and why I think Brian hates Magical Mystery Cure so much is Brian worked on that chapter for like 4 months. Like Brian poured his soul into that thing.
Yeah, it was my baby.
Yeah, Brian spent so much time and so much effort on that thing, trying to
all that time I could have been leveling up in Battlefield 3. I instead was writing a
My Little Pony fan fiction, and it turned out great. But and then here's the funny thing is that this chapter was released literally 2 weeks before Magical Mystery Cure comes out. Magical Mystery Cure comes out and claims that it was Twilight's destiny to become an alicorn the entire time, and doesn't bring this up until the last 5 fucking minutes of the episode, or in other words, the last 97% of the season.
Ugh.
Yeah, and it just thrusts this upon it and is like, well, what in the fuck? Is like, I just spent 4 months working on really what is the best chapter we've written that has been written for the entire story so far.
Funny
and
you
then
bring
Emma
that
Larson,
up.
Yeah.
Well, it'll lead into one of my biggest problems with this episode, but proceed.
Is that like,
it was this, for me it was this like, Christian's basically been taking the words out of my mouth as per usual.
I'm sorry, but you know me, I'm articulate.
He has a tendency to do that.
I talk so much. That's why I'm the spokesperson.
Just that particular set of circumstances, just the way our story went and the way we took the time to build up to it and to make that concept of Twilight being an alicorn important. And then the way the series itself just sort of so flippantly made it,
she's an alicorn now. Bye.
Yeah, it was... Yeah, for me personally, it was a gargantuan slap in the face. That's my biggest beast with this episode, is just that...
It's not even the music, and you hate the music. It's...
Oh yeah, I hate the music, but I always...
You had half the episode on mute.
Yeah. Anyway. What my 2 cents that I wanted to add to this whole thing was really everything that we've talked about wrong with plot holes, the lazy writing. You and I were talking about this, I think last night, Christian. It was all this really stems from a lack of creative direction. Like, it all stems from real world problems that the creative team is having, because we may not know exactly what those problems are, but the fact that Lauren Faust, who put this whole thing together in the first place, is no longer with the creative team. The fact that
she can't even watch the show anymore. She admitted this herself. It hurts too much.
Yeah, like the fact that many writers who we've accredited for very good episodes have also written very bad episodes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's all
This was really the climax of this core problem that has been plaguing the show pretty much since its inception.
Mm-hmm.
That it has some good creativity going behind it, but there's no direction to that creativity. There's no, like, okay, you've made, look, nobody basically said, look, I love you when I say this, but your idea sucks. You need to work on it.
And it's funny that you bring that up, because that's almost a direct word-for-word quote that that music producer Don Gilmore used to say to Linkin Park when he was producing their first 2 albums.
Yeah.
And Chester straight up said that, like, the great thing about working with Don Gilmore is that, like, for one, Don's an artist like them and loves music and loves passion, but Don is also, like, not afraid to tell them when they're wrong. It's like, and Chester straight up said that there have been times when Don would come up to them and say this, like, you guys, I love you, and I mean the best when I say, this is crap. And the funny thing is, I was watching that in a video that Linkin Park was making on the documentary that they were making for the last album that they made, Meteora, because Linkin Park only made 2 albums. I don't know if you know this.
Meteora was a good album.
Very true.
Yeah, but Linkin Park only made two albums, unfortunately, and then they broke up in 2005.
So the legend goes.
Yeah. No, that's what actually happened. They're not Linkin Park.
Yeah.
So and then after Chester says, like, yeah, Don wasn't afraid to.
They went into their own, like, crappy tribute band, basically.
Yeah. Don Gilmore wasn't afraid to, like, be the editor, to be the editing yin to the creative yang, and then it cuts to a scene where it goes to Chester, and, like, he's just got this agonized look on his face, and Mike is holding the camera as Mike is laughing his ass off. He's like, Chester, what's wrong? And Chester just puts on his best smile for the camera, and he's like, today, kids, we wrote a song for the 97th time.
So what you're saying is that one of the big problems with Pony is that they do not have that critical counterforce in the
exactly. That is exactly what I'm saying, and that
is exactly what we're both saying. Is that
I'm pretty sure that's what all 3 of us would say if I wasn't if Christian wasn't basically
in the
taking this whole damn conversation.
Like in previous reviews we've done, or in their Crystal Empire review, and in the Equestrian Girls review, which will probably never see the light of day.
I swear to God, I am working on it.
Yeah, bullshit.
I look forward to it. Go on.
For over 103 hours.
Yeah, but like we blast the crap out of Megan McCarthy a lot because apparently she's the one quarterbacking the effort now. But
yeah, she is the showrunner.
We
loosely speaking.
Mm-hmm.
It's just. If she's the one quarterbacking the effort, she needs to, she needs to be the one. Coach. She needs to be the coach. She needs to be the one saying, "Look, I love you, but this idea is crap."
Yeah.
Now, why she doesn't do this is known only to her and the creative team. In fact, here's probably the deeper question: is why even put that much effort into a show for little girls? The answer is this. We grew up with some good-ass fucking shows. I grew up with Animaniacs, Pinky and the Brain, Darkwing Duck.
The animated Batman series.
Yeah, the animated Batman series. I grew up with all that stuff, and it was better. Amazing. And the reason
I think we grew up with it, too, because we had DVDs at the time.
The reason it was amazing.
No. I never grew up with the original Batman series. I grew up with
you grew up
2000. Yeah, I grew up with Samurai Jack, man. That was really what I grew up with.
Samurai Jack.
That
was
Samurai Jack.
Samurai Jack was like what brought us all together as brothers. Like when we were young and still hated each other, it was Samurai.
Right.
That was the one thing.
We could sit down and watch Samurai Jack for half an hour and be like, talk about whether we not liked the episode or not.
No, because immediately after we would then begin hating each other again.
Right.
Still, it's like, why put so much effort into children's shows? Well, you don't want to look back on the stuff that you watched on a kid and say, that was crap. You want to look back on the stuff you watched as a kid and say, that was awesome. And I've just got married recently. I don't know whether or not I'm gonna have kids, but if I do,
You're gonna make me an uncle, you son of a bitch.
yeah. And if I have a daughter and I gotta show her, if I want to show her something like this, I don't want it to be crap. I want my kid to have memories of the good cartoons that they watched when they grow up, and that's probably the biggest reason why I am, along with you, in being so critical of this, is because as a potential future parent, I'm going to have something vested in this, and you want your kids to have good taste in things,
Right.
and you don't want to raise them on crap.
You don't want
don't want
you
to
don't
raise
want
them-
them watching shit like Teletubbies and Oogie Loves, and you don't want that to be the standard of programming.
Exactly. So
I would be
when
such a
something
terrible
that
parent. I would raise my kids
so
on
that's
Breaking
why it's
Bad.
so excruciating
And you also actually,
for me
if I
to
can-
watch.
sorry.
That's why it's
Sorry.
so painful for me to
No,
watch
I-
My Little Pony, is that it constantly swings back and forth between bad and good. It's like this. It's like the. It's like the representation of the entire cartoon world. The people, like the battle between the people who care and the people who don't give a crap and just want to put this down on their resume so they can put on, go on to make something bigger and better on Comedy Central or something,
Yeah.
It's just, please, put some effort into it.
If I may
For the
very
effort's
briefly,
sake.
if I may very briefly get on my soapbox for a moment,
Yeah.
why
now that
bother?
I've-
Why bother?
Those were some beautiful words, Brian.
I'm following it up with. I'm following
you.
it up with this. Why bother putting this much effort into a kids show? Why would you bother putting effort into telling a story at all?
Touche.
Touche.
Well, no, I'll tell you why. Because I actually I'm the one thing I have in common with Kanye West is that I'm a college dropout, and yeah,
Oh,
the
one thing.
Yeah, one thing. I also used to so I used to study graphic communications up at TMCC, and one of my instructors is this guy named Brian Wells, and I kid you not, he has actually worked with people like John Kricfalusi, who made Ren and Stimpy,
Shit.
and yeah, and he also worked with Matt Groening. In fact, he was part of the animation team on The Simpsons for seasons 8 and 9.
Well then.
So yeah,
The last
dude-
good seasons.
yeah, and then he left. So you can probably, I wonder if there's a correlation there. But the thing is, and he had his own little mantras that he that he would like to say, and one of them got burned into my brain. And he would say that the purpose of any work of art is to elicit an emotional response. So the thing, like what Brian was saying about, wanting quality programs for kids, and not just because like you want your children to have good taste, but also because I imagine if they're going to force them to watch it with you, you want to be at least slightly entertained yourself.
Yep.
Dude, if I had kids
That
right
was
now,
Disney's
like,
whole
you wanna watch a-
philosophy.
Dude,
Exactly.
It's like, if I had kids and it was like, do you want to watch Adventure Time with me, Dad? I'd be like, fuck you.
It's like
I'd
you'd
be
be
the
like, you
worst
watch
parent.
Adventure Time, you're grounded.
No, I was like, hey, Dad, you want to come watch Adventure Time? Nope. That's no dessert.
That's
for
a terrible
week.
show.
That is a god awful show. It'd be, oh, man.
Well, it
I would-
certainly
like I
is
said-
now.
Like I said, I'd be
It's
such
like-
I'd be such a terrible parent because I would raise my kids at like the age of 6. I'd be like, hey, you want to watch Breaking Bad? You're gonna watch Breaking Bad. Sit down. And
No,
watch Breaking Bad with your
I
old
imagine
man.
you'd be like, Adventure Time, what the fuck is this? Okay, let me show you this one show called Avatar: The Last Airbender. We're gonna watch this together.
Oh,
I mean, God,
that
you know what
show
I
is
grew-
so good.
You know what my dad raised me on when I was like 8 or 9, or when I was a really little kid? The
Porn?
Twilight Zone. He had me watching
Yeah.
like Twilight Zone and a lot of like old noir movies when I was a kid.
Yeah,
I grew up on Mystery Science Theater 3000 when I was a kid.
Oh, we did too.
Yes.
so did we.
I
And
sadly
also
did
I
not grow up with it.
on the original My Little Pony back in the like early 90s.
Oh,
Like,
damn, so you're like the OG in this pony shit.
yeah, but that's actually how I got into this. Was I grew up with the toys, like Barbies. I kind of threw their heads down the stairs. The ponies were the only ones that didn't get mutilated. And I remember seeing all this pony shit around back in like 2010, 2011, and going, oh yeah, I remember that from when I was a kid. Like, yeah, it's pretty cute. And a few months later, being, no, seriously, why the hell is everyone obsessed with this show? Like, it was really dumb back in the 80s.
Right, and you just didn't know. You didn't know that like they had made improvements to it.
And I watched it and be like, you know what? If I ever wanted to inflict this world with my spawn, this is what I would want them to watch.
Not that you ever will.
But here's the point that I was making, though, about emotional response. And actually, this ties into something that I learned all the way back when I was 15. Like, the greatest lesson I ever learned from any teacher in all 4 of my years in high school came from
Mr. fucking Bass.
Brandon Rafael Delgado Bass. Was my sophomore drawing 2 teacher. And he was really subtle about this, and I got to appreciate this. He didn't like flat out tell you this. He let you realize this for yourself, because like he would have these like little introspective exercises where he would like try to really like get you to like really look at your own thought processes and what art meant to you. And what I ultimately ended up realizing is the one thing that he was trying to convey most out of this is that the most important piece in any work of art is its soul. But in that, art is also such a broad definition that art could literally be anything that exists. So what separates art from the mundane are the things that really speak to you and that, you know, enrich you or your life or your outlook or whatever in any way. That's really what matters. So technically, in a sense, you could look at My Little Pony Friendship is Magic as art, because technically it is. So I'm going into what Brian was saying and to what Treebeard asked about why put effort into writing in a story is because people are going to be watching these things. People are going to be, you know, like both from, you know, grown men to like, you know, small girls are going to be looking at these things, and it's going to stay with them in one way or another. And like I was saying to Brian last night is that girls are like the reason why like some people try to defend. I've actually gotten into arguments with people, and they've tried to just hand wave all the flaws of this show away as saying, "Oh, it was just meant for little girls." And my response to that is, then why in the fuck are you watching it? And the reason being is that it's probably because there's something more deep to that then, isn't it? And if there's something more deep to that, then I think it's not within. I don't think it's out of the realm of reasonable expectation to therefore expect more from it and to hold it to a higher standard. And furthermore, like what Brian was saying about like worrying what your children are watching and whether or not they're going to be able to look back at it and say, it's like, yeah, I enjoyed that when I was a kid. It was a good show. Or look back at it and like, man, why in the fuck did I watch Yu-Gi-Oh for all those years?
Yeah.
I knew why I watched
Oh,
it.
God.
It's just...
Watching Yu-Gi-Oh was worth it for the abridged series alone, but like I was saying, furthermore, though, it's it's not like the things that like the show is trying to teach children are going to be irrelevant when they're later in age. It's not like any of the virtues of friendship are going to be meaningless the moment that you become an adult. No, this is the reason why you bother teaching children proper etiquette, is because this is going to affect them later on in life. This is going to affect, you know, their outlook in life, what kind of person they are, and this is going to affect, you know, what they teach their children and their children's children, future generations. It all matters at this point in time. So, I don't know, My Little Pony is just a drop in the bucket, but if you have something that is creatively rudderless, that doesn't have a good sense of direction, and that, you know, it can sometimes be really profound if, you know, one person managed to get in a good idea in there, or if you have shit that is just mandated to sell toys.
It gets really confusing to a kid.
Exactly. Well, not only does it get really confusing, but it's also a bit degenerate to what good morals the show, you know, does have to stand on.
Degenerates like you belong on a cross.
And this is what, and I'll be honest, this is probably the reason why I fucking hate the Crystal Empire so much, is because the moral is so ass backwards. Because the moral is straight up immoral. It's amoral. It offended me. You know, the whole the whole concept of, you know, it's like, oh, Twilight learned self-sacrifice by Celestia offering her something that makes her selfish, self-centered, and egocentric, and is willing to put the lives of her friends, her family, and thousands of ponies who just recently were liberated from a tyrant who enslaved them all. She was willing to put them all in danger for some fucking books.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sounds about right.
And I'll be honest, like, I fucking hated that test so goddamn much that fucking Voice of Raving Insanity, Zachary Hemno, actually made his own response video. That wasn't an official response video. That was basically just him trying to put healing balm on the butthurt over the cognitive dissonance that our review left him in. But if you go back and watch that video right now, the thing that I find most vindicating about it, he says, and I quote, "In hindsight, the test was overly complicated."
Overly complicated, is it?
Yeah, to say the least.
How about fucking nonsensical?
Yeah, it's fucking atrocious. It only gets worse the more I think about it. But yeah, like, this was the importance that Brian was saying about, like, why we need, just even quality in children's programming, because, like, it's at those early ages, children are absorbing information like a sponge. The brain is actually most active from, like, the age of, like, what is it?
I just
like
want to
1
jump
to
in,
5?
and I want to say it amazes me how we went from being like super funny to like we're super fucking sentimental now. This is like
we were all
one of
hit
those.
with we were all hit with.
This
the
is one of
Nolan
those.
ray. That's
this
what
is
happened.
one of those.
We've got hit with the Nolan Ray.
Yeah.
This is one of those late night conversations where it either becomes like super everything is fucking funny as hell, or everything gets super sentimental really fast.
In this case,
We're
it's
having
both.
We're having a moment here.
We went from being funny to having a moment to now we're probably gonna end it by being fucking retarded.
Yeah,
Well,
sounds about right.
Ironically
Yeah, there
enough,
you
we
go.
still haven't even finished the episode yet. It's just like we got.
We're pretty much done.
We're almost done. We got
finished.
like.
We will do the lightning round wrap up and explain it in like 2 sentences.
Oh man, just.
So
Yes,
her friends
the
think that she's
concept
dead. So her friends think she's dead for a little bit, but then she comes back. Yay! Now she gets coronated, and everybody's happy because the day's going to be all right. And then the end.
And then she flies off into the distance. The end. There you go. There's magical mystery cure.
Hooray!
we're done.
It's
Someday.
over. The only good thing about it.
Actually, no.
Wait. Silence.
Okay.
And the
Fine, I have something
crowd
else
goes
to say.
wild.
Yay!
There was much rejoicing.
Yay.
Actually, no. I was talking about magical. I was talking about magical mystery cure. I was talking about.
That's all, folks.
I was talking about why I hate the Crystal Empire so much, and why I hate it so much because of the moral that it's wrapped around. And Magical Mystery Cure almost has the same problem, but wrap your head around this. And the whole point of the episode is that the remaining 5's cutie marks have been switched, so they have a destiny that is not theirs imposed upon them, and their life now sucks. So Twilight has to remind them what their lives and who they really are and what they mean to each other actually is, so that way they can live up to their fullest potential. I think that's what the moral is supposed to be, and I think that is why Twilight is now an Alicorn now, because apparently, yeah, friendship is the ultimate magic, and through the power of friendship, you can achieve, I think that's what is supposed to be going for it. But Twilight becomes an Alicorn without Celestia even fucking warning her that is what is about to happen. And that's why it feels so nonsequential, and why I brought up, what we were writing about, and why Brian hates the episode so much for personal reasons, because that chapter that we wrote, everything eventually, builds up to that point. Whereas in Magical Mystery Cure, and this goes back to it feeling like 2 episodes that they had to basically take a hacksaw of the editing scalpel to, and then stitch together to the remains, kind of like it's almost like the fucking Digimon movie, of My
Oh,
Little Pony
God.
episodes. Yeah, actually, I wanted to bring
Yeah,
that
I
up
gotta
earlier.
agree with you on that one, because one of my really big points is that it shouldn't Twilight essentially achieving fucking enlightenment be something that you build up for the whole season? Isn't that a whole story arc by itself? Instead, the only thing we really get is, like, showing the book at the end of the premiere.
Yeah, and that did not lead into anything. That wasn't foreshadowing.
I don't know why, but that reminded me of like Avatar: The Last Airbender, where it's like such a large portion of like the last couple of episodes of that show are like meant to like unlocking all the chakras in Aang and like teaching him different shit and like sacrifice and just kind of like breaking onto the other side and like ascending.
Let go.
Yeah, exactly, and like ascend to become like the person he's most likely gonna be.
Well,
But
no,
even
has
no,
anyone
actually,
played,
It just randomly reminded me of that.
no. Well, even
Yeah,
then, there was
but,
still more development in that in the Avatar series, and this is only what I only know from secondhand information because I still haven't seen the series yet. But it's still kind of.
You shape me.
I know I need to watch that and Breaking Bad and Game of Thrones, but I've been playing too much TF2. But there was still kind of that still built into the sense of all throughout the rest of the series because it's revealed that Aang doesn't know how to bend all of the elements. So over the course of the series, you have him
There's precedent for it.
Yeah, learning how to master all of the elements, and in this process, meeting new people, becoming friends with them, becoming closer, and learning more about himself. Even with freaking Zuko,
Which I guess would basically
former
be our
enemies,
example of, like,
they
when it
become
works
friends.
perfectly.
Yeah, exactly. And then here in Magical Mystery Cure, you don't even get a fucking hint
I
that
think it just assumes that for the past like 2 seasons that's like going to be its reason for enlightenment. It's just
it tries to
friendship.
It tries
It's
to
like
hand wave all of this by Celestia saying, "Oh yeah, everything that you
Everything is proceeding exactly as I have foreseen.
Well, no, I've
Exactly.
been silent for a while, but did anyone else in this room, other than me, play Golden Sun Dark Dawn?
I played some of it but never finished it.
Complete silence. Okay, so it suffered from what I call Golden Sun syndrome, which is you introduce something that's fairly important at the beginning, completely neglect to mention it the entire time until the very end when you go, motherfucker!
Oh, I get it, like the Mass Effect 3 ending.
Yes!
Oh.
Why?
That's what the book was. Because you see it at the beginning of the season, you're like, oh,
Is
that's
this
kind
your
of mysterious.
revenge for my
They
what I've
never
done
mention it
reference?
again.
Yes.
Like, there's no allusions to it whatsoever. Like, they don't even break it out. They don't even, like, Celestia's not even, like, saying, oh, maybe now I should bring out that book. There's no mention. It is just completely forgotten for, like, 12 episodes.
This is probably why they started implementing series-long arcs with season
because
4.
It helps make it more cohesive.
Actually, you know what? I can't even say that because the first one was in season 1 with the Grand Galloping Gala.
Yeah. So there's no excuse for them
So it's
not
like-
to have done this.
So
Yes.
yeah. So it's like they knew it, they forgot it, and then they realized they'd forgotten it.
Oh
and then in
shit,
season
that's what
4
we were doing.
Yeah.
Much like
instead
us
when,
with this conversation.
when you have
exactly.
they have a season that's only 13 episodes long. You'd think they would devote they were kind of hinting at this again with the book and the Crystal Empire and Twilight learning more advanced magic, but there was no indication as to how or why that would lead into Twilight becoming an alicorn. None whatsoever. And you'd think with a season so short that they would devote a little bit more thought to that, but no.
I would think they'd devote the whole season to it because that's
Yeah,
pretty
why not?
fucking
No.
important.
Instead, we have an episode of Spike acting like a fucking retard. Thank you, Dave Polsky. And then we also have an episode of where the main 6 go back to the Crystal Empire, proving my point that it's still cursed and everyone in the Crystal Empire is hexed with an idiot ball because we have the main 6 acting like idiots again. Thank you once more, Dave Polsky.
Didn't we rip on Dave Polsky, like, a lot?
Yeah, we ripped on him back when we were dysfunctional Equestria.
Very true.
Anyway,
So,
we need to wrap this up soon because where I am, it's just about midnight, and I have to be
we're
at work.
we're at 2.5 hours now, so
Yeah. Well,
I think
welcome to talking to Christian.
I think we can start
I
moving
should
into...
have warned you. I should have warned you before.
I mean, this isn't all that weird. This is about how it usually goes for us.
Oh, really? Okay. Well.
Okay.
All right, so closing thoughts.
I guess I should probably catch up on season 5 because I haven't seen anything from it, but I'm not gonna keep my breath held.
Premiere's pretty good.
Well,
I love the premiere, and actually, just to kill your spirits going in, the premiere is pretty much the only thing I have said, like, yeah, I really liked it so far.
There were a few good episodes. Like, I actually lost a lot. I actually liked Lost Treasure of Griffinstone.
Really?
Yeah, it was because, like, there were a few things off with it, but, I did like that we got a worthy return for Gilda as opposed to just hamming her into Equestria games for no fucking reason, proving that Digibrony doesn't know what the hell he's talking about.
No, I agree with you wholeheartly there. Digibrony never knows what he's talking about.
And even though Rainbow Dash and Pinkie Pie had a difference over what they thought the problem they should have done to resolve the problem, their differences were still amicable, and both of the things that they ended up doing ultimately led into the final resolution. And the resolution was, go figure, actually solved with, real friendship over bonds that they had formed, as opposed to, mystical Deus Ex Machina gems.
Fair point. Although we do have quite a few issues with Griffinstone, but that's a whole other video. In fact, it is a whole other video.
Yeah, Griffinstone was the setting in of itself was a bit disappointing, but yeah, I don't mean to steal anybody's thunder. I was just adding my thoughts to Griffinstone.
yeah, that's good. That'll be
Christian,
Christian
you've been stealing everyone's thunder this whole fucking 2.5 hour conversation.
Christ.
This is what happens when you get me in the room. I'm the kind of person who can take a 42-minute premiere and write a 69-page script for it.
Yeah, that was
Alrighty, so
long.
any more closing thoughts?
Joseph, do you have any? Well,
this was
Juan,
actually a lot of fun than I'd be. Please invite me back.
Yes.
Well,
So I
if
can
we do
talk
something
more-
like this again, we'll invite you
Awesome.
back.
My closing thoughts? The episode
Okay.
sucked. There you go. Those are my
Very good
thoughts.
closing thoughts.
Thank you.
Duster, any closing thoughts? Uh-oh.
Silence.
I think we broke Duster.
She might have gone for chicken. She might
Least
come
I-
back, say
le-
Leroy Jenkins.
Least I have chicken.
You stop, chicken.
Stop. Chicken.
Duster?
right.
Hello?
Huh.
Miss Dunhorse? We require you.
I require... Oh, there you are.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah. I
Closing thoughts.
was plugging in one of my DS's. It was flashing at me.
So,
my God.
closing thoughts.
Closing thoughts are that this was slapdash together, and if it was one of those things where they went, guys, we only bought 65 episodes, you're gonna have to cut out a few things here and there, I can kind of be a little bit forgiving and feel sorry for the writers. But if it was written intentionally as a one-shot episode, then that's completely unforgivable. You just fucked up.
You done
And in
fucked
the
up.
end,
Fucked it up.
the most interesting part of this episode wasn't actually the airing of the episode, but what happened before and after. And I dubbed myself the Changeling Queen of Internet Drama. It's what sustains me. And going into the comments on EQD was like a full Thanksgiving turkey meal.
Getting fat off of drama.
Oh yeah, the people just going back and forth. The things
You
that
should see
people
the
say to
chairs
each
she
other.
broke.
Oh my God.
Oh my! You swore never to bring that up.
I did? I don't remember agreeing to that.
Driving up there. Driving up there.
He's
there are a lot of things I would
you
punch you over.
this gives you power over me. he's like, yeah, I remember hearing about it. I don't remember agreeing to it. I'm just saying.
I'm sorry, Duster. What do you expect from a guy who lives next to a hell portal?
Well, I'm getting stared down by my dog, who's been silently accusing me of not sitting on the couch to cuddle with him. So closing thought overall is, it was lackluster. It was a terrible way to introduce Twilight Alicorn, which I wasn't even against. Like, I saw it coming a mile away. They were going to do it. They just could have done it better. And there were so many things that they could have done on this journey there that would have fixed everything.
Well, yeah, and you'd think with the season so crunched, they would have decided to pay more attention to the beginning and the end. Like, maybe even sacrifice a whole other episode to get the ending.
Actually, do I still have that tab open?
The thing I
To get
keep
the ending.
thing I keep
Sacrifice
railing.
a whole episode, so that way we have the ending that Gotham deserves. Yeah.
God damn it.
But,
I have to open
That
it
thing I
again.
keep railing on is, yeah, this really should have been a whole arc for the whole season if it was that crucial that you did this.
Because, yeah, let's see. I'm looking at the Season 3 episodes right now, and I'm looking at, like, the Spike and the Pets episode. Was that really needed? No, we could have gotten rid of that.
Spike at Your Service did not need to exist.
Spike at Your Service didn't need to exist.
That episode.
People may argue with me on this, though. Magic Duel doesn't need to exist because
Nope.
it's just an excuse to bring Trixie back. So, that could have been cut. There's so
Magic
many
Duel,
episodes...
another episode where it could have had a good character arc, but it was cut for time.
Well, there are... Oh, yeah, and too many Pinkie Pies. Like,
Twilight
People-
commits mass murder.
people got on
Am I
my
the only person
ass.
that actually likes that episode, doesn't have a lot of problems with it? Like,
I was
Probably.
indifferent.
I
I was
have a
indifferent
problem with
towards.
it because I'm not a big Pinkie Pie fan. In fact, people got on my ass a lot back in another group I was in because
Yeah,
I was
back when we were DE, there were people actually sending her death threats over not liking Pinkie
Oh yeah,
Pie.
I got like 10 messages in one day telling me to kill myself because I didn't like Pinkie Pie, and that was like my claim to fame or whatever. I'm not even kidding. I was getting pinged like constantly with death threats from this one crazy dude telling me that I should die, go kill myself, light myself on fire, like all these things because I was well known.
This is a wonderful way to end a conversation.
I know.
Like, yeah, I got death threats. Yeah, how about that?
Because
I wonder
don't
how
like
I...
Pinkie Pie. So I
That really breaks the ice.
I still don't regret saying I don't like Smile, Smile, Smile. So,
He would probably hunt you down.
It too.
Wait for those death threats, Brian. They'll
Yeah,
be
wait for
coming.
that one guy. I have like 2 of his accounts blocked, and I think that's when he got the idea. But there's so many episodes in season 3 that they could have cut out to make room for the finale, which is arguably one of the more important points next to the premiere.
yeah.
Right.
Oh, well. It is what it is,
My
and
turn.
how we
I
have to
suppose
live with it.
I suppose it's my turn now then.
No, you've had enough
You mean you
turns.
didn't already?
No, I didn't leave my final concise closing thoughts.
Okay.
Oh my God, Treebeard, end it before he can say anything, please.
Too late! You're in it with the long haul.
I will cut him off when appropriate.
Okay.
There we go.
Proceed.
The magic of editing. Okay. So I'm gonna agree with Duster too. I'm gonna agree with Duster in that this really should have been more developed upon and more expounded. And I'm gonna agree with Treebeard in the sense that I didn't so much have a problem with Alicorn Twilight because fuck, we wrote a story where it happened, and we had been planning on doing it pretty much since we started writing the story. But we had the problem with is the execution, and there's this one line that Joseph says in our Crystal Empire review, which is also something that I stand by, is that if you're a talented enough writer, you can take even a bad premise and still come up with a good story for it. Now, granted, that doesn't include variables such as executive meddling, but, and this is another one of the things that I learned in graphics, is that if you really care, you have to fight for something. You have to really, you have to really put yourself on the line, stick your neck out, even in times where it isn't dangerous, and stand behind something with substance. Magical Mystery Cure is, God, just something that is so spineless and so superfluous and so superficial. It's just sickening.
It may as well not exist.
Exactly. Yeah, because, as I was saying, nothing that Twilight has done henceforth since then has proven that she needed to be an Alicorn to play the role that she still plays in the show. And God, the pacing is off. The music is just superficial fluff. The The plot is nonsensical. The tone is just wavering. Everything about it is stitched together. But ultimately, what probably bugs me the most, like you were saying about how it didn't even really need to happen, is that it actually has a broken Aesop. Its own moral is broken. Because like I was saying, the whole concept, the whole theme is that the remaining 5 have lives imposed upon them that are not their own, and they are therefore miserable. It's therefore in saying that if you have something that is imposed upon you, you will therefore be miserable. And then Celestia makes Twilight an alicorn without even warning her or asking her permission to impose this destiny that Celestia picked out for her. And to further prove how busted this is, and this almost made me do, if I had been drinking something when Joseph and I had been watching this episode, this would have made me do a spit take over just how ass backward and fucking delirious this is the moment that, this is probably like the line that sticks with me the most over how bad this fucking episode is. The moment after, is like, moments after Twilight gets her wings, there's this moment that tries to be endearing that shows that Twilight is still the same old adorable unicorn we all know and love by saying, is there some sort of book on how to be a princess? And most people, I imagine, went, aw, that's so cute at that line. But for me, I was like, Celestia's whole fucking song was supposed to be about how Twilight is ready for this. And it's clear that the reason why this doesn't work is not only is Twilight not ready for this, but the series wasn't ready for this. It was not prepared. It was not...
You don't
And the Illidan quote
You don't
here.
know. Yeah.
You are not prepared.
Yeah.
You are not prepared. Like Joseph said, it needed structure, and this is Joseph's exact words after we watched this episode and why I was so pissed off, is it needed structure, it needed development, and that did not happen. And it's like, it's so bad that even Equestria Girls ended up having to try to retcon a few of the things that Magical Mystery Cure left. Like, at the end of the episode, she's flying away. It's like, yes, everything's going to be just fine. But then in Equestria Girls, she's like, she's actually worried. You know, she's having concerns like a, actual thinking character would have in a situation that they had been forced into. Just, oh my god, I haven't even covered all the things that I wanted to talk about. We've already been going on for 3 hours. Just, oh my god, fuck this episode. Fuck this episode, and everyone who likes this only likes this because they enjoyed the music. They weren't actually thinking when they watched this episode.
I personally think it's because their brains were shut off, but yes.
Man children, yeah, like I was saying earlier in this hours earlier in this conversation. And the funny thing is, ironically enough, this you're gonna find really ironic. I didn't like Magical Mystery Cure very much when I first saw it, but I didn't hate it this much. But it was only when I started thinking about it and I was like, hey, wait a fucking minute, this makes no goddamn sense. And then
I'm in that same boat.
Yeah, then the whole thing started coming apart and I was like, oh my god, this was shit. Like, it was the same thing with the Crystal Empire. Like, I didn't think the test was the worst thing about the Crystal Empire when I first watched it, but then I started thinking about it, and then it hit me, and I was like, oh my god, I have to do this. I have to warn the rest of the herd about this. And that's, I suppose that can be my summarizing line about Magical Mystery Cures. Magical Mystery Cure is only passable if you don't think about anything that is going on in any extent and with any sense of rational, cognitive, logical function for but the briefest of moments. It's a good episode, as long as you're not thinking about anything that is happening in the episode.
So,
Okay.
gonna go into my closing thoughts. I'll try to keep it brief.
Okay.
Can
I'll
I
kinda-
have the closing statement?
I'm kind of drawing from what everyone else said, that the thing that really sticks out to me, because I'm actually a writer too, I'm not sure if you guys know, but I do a lot of writing on my own, and the thing that kind of really stands out to me about this episode, and about all the excuses people make for it, oh, well, they only bought 65 episodes, and it was cut for time. Oh, well, it didn't have enough time to build it up. Well, they had to cram it all in one episode. You know, what it tells me is, they didn't care enough. They didn't give enough of a shit to build this up, to make this event, this hugely important, nearly divine event, as important as it was supposed to be. They didn't give a shit. Nobody gave a shit. That's why it's shit, because nobody cares. That's the only time anybody can like it. It's when nobody cares enough to actually look at it. So, the only Magical Mystery Cure is the epitome of what happens when you don't bother to put forth effort. When you just cobble this together at the last minute and hope it works out.
Sounds like you didn't like the episode.
I mean, really?
Oh, no shit.
But yeah,
I
it
don't know. It just hit me. I don't know.
I mean, admittedly, it's a bit of a leap, but yeah.
Just a smidge.
They seem to... I feel like... The good news is, I feel like they've learned from this. I feel like the writing staff has learned from the mistake that Magical Mystery Cure represents. To an extent.
Ergo why M.A. Larson disappeared from the writing staff faster than Salman Rushdie did after he released the Satanic Verses.
I mean, he came back.
He did came back, but... And ironically enough, the episode that he comes back and also explores cutie marks and manages to make even less sense of them.
Well, wait, are you talking about the...
I'm talking about the season 5 premiere, and yet ironically enough, the season 5 premiere wasn't as bad. It's just...
But
the worst part about it, though, is that the cutie marks don't make sense.
That is a story for another time.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So,
at least in that episode, it was at least pretty evident that he bothered to act, that the writing staff, the development team, actually bothered to actually think about how all this stuff is supposed to work.
And did Megan McCarthy stop editing? Because I'm pretty sure that also had a lot to do with things improving.
I don't know. I'm not really sure, but what I do know for sure
Yeah,
is...
Megan McCarthy can't edit. Or write anymore, for that matter.
But what I'm going to close off on is... If you're going to do anything, you're going to write kids' cartoons, you're going to do scientific research, you're going to play fucking video games, give a shit.
Like what I'm doing right now?
Yeah, fucking give a shit. Care about what you're doing. Because if you don't, it's going to show. And it's going to suck. And it's going to reflect badly on you. And, you know...
Well,
Yes.
may I interject quick?
no.
I don't think it's...
But
It's not just... It's not just a matter of caring, it's
All right,
a
everybody,
matter
thanks for
of...
watching. Goodbye!
It's not just a matter of caring, it's also... Sometimes you have to care enough to be able to allow your own work to receive some scrutiny.
Yeah.
Like, and
I've been preaching the word of criticism ever since we were dysfunctional Equestria.
Okay, I'm going to give you this story, and you're probably going to be using it from here on out, but have you ever... Well, I know Brian and Joseph have, but have either of you two ever seen the movie Young Frankenstein?
I have, yes.
Okay, you remember the part where Frankenstein takes his creation and unveils it before the scientific audience, and then it, like, after the initial introductions, it delves into this musical number of putting on the Ritz.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the funny thing is that Mel Brooks originally did not want that scene to be in the movie, and Gene Wilder did. And Gene Wilder was very passionate about that scene, and they actually had a very big argument right before they shot that scene over whether or not it should be in the film. And after arguing his case for long enough, after Wilder argued his case for long enough, Brooks eventually said, all right, we'll do it. And that kind of surprised Brooks over how much he just quickly changed. So they go through, they shoot the scene, and after the shooting was done for that day, Wilder goes up to Brooks and asks why he was fighting so hard against the scene, and then why to ultimately just change when Wilder had pled his case well enough. And Brooks says, and this is best of a quote as I can, sometimes you need to be willing to take a sledgehammer to your own work, because that is what your audience is going to be doing as they are watching it. But if it stands up, you still go. But if it stands up after the scrutiny, you go with it. And I don't think people were really looking at this with enough scrutiny. They certainly care. I know for some reason or other, M.A. Larson still defends this episode. He is wrong, but that's indicative that he cared, but he didn't really have anybody to sit him down and say, really say, you know, I mean the best when I say this is crap. Right. And not enough people who watch this are concerned about this. I've seen polls on Equestria Daily that say that where it's revealed that the majority of the fandom doesn't care what they get, they just want more pony. They are entertained by the pony-shaped keys being jingled in front of their faces.
Look in the comments on the episode 100 posts, and you'll see just how easily entertained they are.
There are people who like Equestria girls.
Well,
Digibrony being one of them.
All right, I think this that pretty much covers it. You gotta care. You gotta care. You gotta give a shit when you do it, and you have to care enough to let it face criticism.
Exactly.
I managed to fit in my preaching the word of criticism in here. Damn.
And then, ironically
you and I
enough,
are in that same boat.
Ironically enough, even though I hate the music in Equestria, for some reason I feel compelled to end with a little song.
Oh.
Okay.
What would that be?
The last verse of Sultans of Swing by Dire Straits.
Lead us out.
Okay. Then the man, he steps right up to the microphone and says at last, just as the time bell rings, "Good night. Now it's time to go home." And he makes it fast with one more thing. "We are the Sultans. We are the Sultans of Swing. Do-do-do. Do-do-do.
You guys will need to give me a link of that song so I can actually play it.
It should be on YouTube somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
Sultans of Swing by Dire Straits.
That's Brian's
Good
shout
song.
out. Shout out, Dire Straits.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
So
How about,
this has been our.
As long as I can see the light by Creedence Clearwater, just as good. Oh yeah.
All right. Well,
This
this has been Hoof Hearted with Treebeard, Duster, and Christian, Joseph, and Brian Harisay. We
Of the
spent a
Harisay
lot
Brothers.
of time talking about this episode, and well, we ripped the shit out of it. But you know what? The last thing that I'd like to leave you guys with is, well, just really think about the stuff that you're watching.
Yeah.
And on that note, we'll catch you all later.
Good night.
You get a shiver in the dark, it's raining in the park, but meantime, sound of the river, you stop and you hold everything. A band is blowing Dixie, double fall time.